Hello and welcome to the Wales Green Party candidate launch. I'm Lauren, Deputy Leader of Wales Green Party, and I'm hosting the event this morning. The Senedd elections in May are an exciting opportunity for us to get our first Green voices into the Senedd. Today, I'm going to be introducing you to our lead list regional candidates. There's also going to be an opportunity for you to ask your questions to our panel, so please use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. I'm just going to share our candidate launch video with you now.
Hello and welcome to the Wales Green Party candidate launch. I'm so excited to have you with us today and to introduce you to the incredible candidates we have standing across the country. On the 6th of May 2021, Wales will vote for their new representatives in the Senedd. We have a real chance of electing our first Green Party voices in Welsh Parliament, fighting for a fairer Wales for everyone. These elections are some of the most exciting in the history of the Senedd, with 16 and 17-year-olds finally able to vote for their say in their future, as well as the possibility to shape a post-COVID Wales, which is resilient, strong and equal. As Greens, we are dedicated to working from the grassroots up to build a world where we can protect our planet, while simultaneously ensuring that local people benefit from our investments in clean energy and in community projects. That's why our candidates today will sign a Green Transformation Pledge. We are committed to being ambitious for Wales, to bring deep and lasting change that benefits us all, for secure, affordable housing, a resilient and local healthcare system, and a Wales with net zero carbon emissions by 2030. All financed sustainably to put Wales on a firm footing.
Hi, I'm Anthony Slaughter, leader of Wales Green Party and the lead regionalist candidate for South Wales Central. We are facing a climate emergency, and the damage inflicted on our planet is being felt by people living here in South Wales Central, with yearly floods tearing through our communities, destroying homes and businesses. Our Green Transformation Pledge sees us invest in the infrastructure needed to produce clean energy, whilst also creating tens of thousands of jobs where they are sorely needed, returning industry to areas devastated by cuts and closures. A Wales powered by green energy is a Wales listening to the science to ensure emission-reducing targets are met, whilst also harnessing new opportunities to bring prosperity. Our nature crisis is becoming more and more urgent, with unrepairable damage being inflicted on our beautiful green spaces and wildlife. By creating a new role in Welsh Government for a Commissioner for Biodiversity and Animal Protection, we will ensure the recovery of Welsh ecologies, landscapes, animals and plant life, and create a Wales fit for future generations.
Hi, I'm Emily Durrant, lead regional list candidate for Mid and West Wales. This year has shown us the vital importance of a free health and social care system. We must ensure our NHS is well funded, with doctors, nurses and carers paid fairly for the incredible work that they do. And that's why I'm promising today, as part of the Green Transformation Pledge, that if elected, I will ensure local authorities have the funding needed to increase capacity across all areas of health and social care provision. This pandemic has stretched our NHS to breaking point, and it is not good enough to return to business as usual. We must fight to protect this vital service and the amazing people who work within it. Part of this is ensuring that local people have access to the health and social care that they need within their communities. In Mid and West Wales, we're seeing closure of vital services like A&E, causing ambulances to travel for 90 minutes or more sometimes before being able to bring patients back to the safety of hospital care. We're seeing similar issues with cancer care, people in my own ward having to travel huge distances outside of Wales just to receive the treatment that they need. And we'd like to address this with an all-Wales cancer strategy.
Hello, I'm Megan Poppy Lloyd, and today I will be signing the Green Transformation Pledge because I believe housing is a human right. Simply put, every person in Wales deserves a warm, safe home. If elected, I will fight to end homelessness and include the people most affected by a criminal lack of affordable housing back into the discussion. The Green Party will build 12,000 new homes every year, mostly social housing and built to the highest of environmental standards. The people of South West Wales deserve affordable housing, and a Green Party backed by a Green Transition Fund will deliver this.
Hi, I'm Iolo Jones and I'm the lead list candidate for North Wales. Here in the North, we believe that decisions affecting our local communities should be made in those communities and not by politicians in London or Cardiff. That's why I'm supporting a Green Transformation Pledge to ensure that the potential for action is delivered to those who know where it's needed. Citizens' assemblies and climate juries will ensure accountability across all levels of government, and that the voice of the Welsh people is heard both within our nation and beyond. We support a democratic and independent Wales, resisting the clawback of powers from Westminster. We will protect the Welsh language, ensuring vibrant bilingual communities. Independence will allow Wales to thrive as a diverse and egalitarian green nation.
And I'm Amelia Womack, lead regional list candidate for South Wales East. I know that education must be top of the agenda in our Green Transformation Pledge, ensuring the vision of a greener, fairer Wales is embedded in our young people, giving them the bright future they deserve. Schools are an integral part of our communities and must be protected by stopping the closures of rural schools and ensuring that funding is available so that no child goes without access to the digital technology necessary for learning in the 21st century. We truly believe in a free university education available to anyone who wishes to pursue it, not saddling students with debt they can never pay off, and putting young people off the inspiring dreams they have. Equally, access to artistic and creative opportunities is vital to giving our young people the best possible quality of life. If elected, I will ensure that the arts have a key place to play in all community economy plans, linking cultural venues to local economic recovery. Together, through these simple pledges, we can create something truly remarkable and transform Wales into a country ready for the bright green future ahead. Thank you. Diolch yn fawr.
So we have two of our lead list candidates here today. We've to answer questions from the audience. We first go to Amelia Womack, lead list candidate for South Wales East and deputy leader of the Green Party of England and Wales, and Anthony Slaughter, leader of Wales Green Party and lead list candidate for South Wales Central. So the first question I'm going to go to is from Tom Massey. COVID has shown the necessity of a good NHS, and it came to breaking point with a lack of ICU beds in some areas and of PPE and testing, not to mention staffing and pay. What would the candidates do to strengthen the NHS and to be able to meet this and future pandemics? I'm going to go first to Amelia.
The answer to this question is simply about resilience. And when we've seen our NHS lack investment and prioritisation over the years, then it means that that resilience that we need in our communities and in our NHS just simply isn't there. When we look at long-term plans, we shouldn't have an NHS that's simply working on the shoestring that is being put to them. We need to have genuine investment to ensure that we're there, that our NHS is there for the tough times, investing in our nurses, investing in our staff, ensuring that they have a proper wage to survive on, while also ensuring that our NHS is brought to a community level, giving access to people where they need it, which is closer to their homes, meaning that people haven't got to drive long distances for their A&E access or even for other services. By bringing things back into our communities, it means that we can provide better resilience on a local level, as well as ensuring that we have proper resilience within our healthcare systems as well.
Anthony.
Could I just one quick point on that, completely on board with all that. I met recently with the Welsh members of the NHS Workers Say No campaign, who are campaigning for a 15% pay rise for all NHS workers, because in real terms over the last 10 years, they've seen a pay cut of 15 to 20%. So just to reiterate that we fully support that call for 15% pay rise for all NHS staff.
Lauren, we can't hear you. You're on mute. Sorry.
Thank you. Next question is from Gethin Matthews. How is the party going to ensure they get the exposure they deserve in the radio and TV coverage of the Senedd elections over the next 6 weeks? I'm going to go first to Anthony this time, if you don't mind.
Very good question, thanks. We need to get as much exposure as possible. The public, the voters need to know we're here and they need to know what we stand for. It sometimes is an uphill struggle, but what has been reassuring this time round as we get into the short election campaign period is the journalists and the media are approaching us and are asking our views. We're being included on a lot of panels where we are the only party that doesn't have a current Senedd member, because people can see that we have a chance, we will get elected this time round, and people know that we have the policies that will make a difference. So my answer is that we will be doing everything we can. We are here, we will speak to everyone, we will fight our corner. And what you can do as a supporter, if you support Wales Green Party and you believe Wales Green Party should be elected, ask the media. If we are left out, ask them why we aren't there. Tell them, demand a Welsh Green voice in the room, in the debate.
And I'd just like to add that for Wales, this absolutely must be a climate election. We'll be putting forward our vision for the next 5 years, as well as what that post-COVID recovery will look like. And we know that the failures of the past can't be built into what we create in the future. We must be ensuring that we're working to, again, invest in communities, to invest in people, to invest in ensuring that we don't go above 1.5 degrees of warming. And so this election for Wales is so important. So as Anthony said, please make sure that you're supporting the Green Party wherever we're not being heard, because it's such an essential voice at this time. This is the point, this is the moment. And please make sure that you're sharing all of our campaigns and social media. Just amplify what we're saying, because if we get Greens in the Senedd this time, it is the crucial point to ensure that that change, that voice about our future, our communities, our environment, our people in Wales is properly heard.
Excellent. So I'm going to actually ask the next person to David Griffin, are you here?
I'm here, yes.
Okay, ask away.
So my question is what we can do about active travel in our towns and cities to make a healthier environment and a safer environment for our kids.
I'm going to send that to Emily Durrant, our lead list candidate in Mid and West, if you don't mind, Emily. Emily, I think you're still on mute.
Thanks, Lauren. Apologies, not sure what's going on there. Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm the candidate for the Mid and West region, and my focus doesn't actually involve any cities. So I'm going to leave that one for the other candidates to answer probably more comprehensively than me. But I should say that active travel is absolutely essential in rural areas just as much as it is in cities. I think the Welsh Labour government have ignored rural areas through their active travel plans so far, and that just isn't good enough. We are so reliant on car use in rural areas, so we actually need more innovative and more focus on the solutions in rural areas. It's frankly just easier to fix in cities. So in my area, we are looking at creating greenways, safe routes to cycle, because of course country lanes are really not safe at all for most small children and families to travel on, although many brave cyclists do take the risk. So yeah, we're focused on trying to create greenways wherever possible, and it is expensive, but it's money definitely well spent. And within the towns, of course, there are towns in the region, similar plans to make cycling more accessible and other forms of non-car use, because essentially non-car use is always the best option. But we have other bigger plans for our buses and public transport systems that will go into towns eventually, but will be focused on cities. And I'd like to pass that back to the other candidates that will probably want to talk on that.
I think that was spot on, but just to add as well that quite often when I work with different political groups, different political institutions talking about active travel plans, sometimes you'll see them go out and research how many people walk and cycle, and then say, well, this isn't a big priority because there aren't that many people doing it, which is absolutely the wrong way to look at it, because what you've got to do is to look at what the barriers are to why people aren't walking and cycling. That might be a dangerous section of the road. It might be air pollution, even the kind of idea that it's just not safe, it's not nice, it's not easy. And so a lot of that focus needs to be about removing the barriers as to why people aren't using active travel. And really that is again about investment. It's about a change of attitude, and the amount of short car journeys that we're doing across Wales at the moment, in towns, in cities, in the countryside, just simply shows that those active travel plans haven't been prioritised, that safe routes haven't been prioritised, cycle lanes. All of these things are such simple solutions, and they're not expensive solutions, but they change the game, because the more people that you take out of cars, the more you reduce air pollution, the more you reduce traffic, the more you have a positive impact on people's well-being and lifestyles. And so, yeah, it's such an important part of our policies and what we know we can deliver in our communities.
Yeah, I think the safety aspect is key. I mean, we've been campaigning, the Green Party been campaigning for 20 mile per hour speed limits in urban areas for a very long time, and it's very welcome to see that eventually being brought in, because Amelia is absolutely right. It's about the perception. And when I was campaigning locally on 2020 and talking about how it was much safer for people, people would point out that the area I was talking about, there were no incidents of injury, accident or death. But as Amelia said, that was because people were very scared to cycle there. So we have to make it the norm. We need real investment in infrastructure, active travel infrastructure, but not hidden away. Where people walk and cycle needs to be at the heart of our communities. It needs to become the norm. And we also need to look at getting more people into public transport, and really inspired by the Scottish Greens, introducing free public transport for under 21s, I think it's under 21s, in Scotland. And we would like to see something similar here in Wales.
I feel like everyone who's a cyclist during that conversation had flashbacks to the times that their cycle lanes have disappeared while they've been mid-route and they've had no idea where they've been going, because yeah, joined up thinking is really essential in all transport planning.
So I'm going to go next to James Williams from the BBC.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hello, Borda, thank you. Yeah, so as I was saying in the Q&A function, could you just elaborate a little bit on your policies to tackle the climate emergency? What are your feelings about the moves that the current Welsh Government have made, particularly around legislating for net zero by 2050? Do you think that's ambitious enough? Now, whilst I've got you, can you just explain as well, when it comes to Welsh independence, is it my understanding that it's right that you are in support of it if there was a campaign, or are you actively campaigning for that referendum? Thank you. Cheers.
I'm going to give that to Amelia.
So, as we know, politics is all about priorities, and as you'd expect from Wales Green Party, our priority is about tackling the climate emergency, securing a strong environment, as well as addressing inequality and ensuring social justice across Wales. All of those things are intertwined, and we need to be making sure that every aspect of how we deliver our climate targets is embedded with ensuring that we're creating a more equal Wales and addressing the vast inequalities across the country. And that's about genuine investment in jobs, about clean, green energy that isn't just about the big companies, but about community energy that ensures that we are bringing renewables to our communities where those who are able to invest gain the most value. It's about ensuring that we have a clear public transport network that's easy to use. I said about barriers to walking and cycling. I mean, the barriers to public transport so often are the reasons that people don't use public transport is because it's not the cheapest and easiest solution. It is far too easy for people to get in their cars, and a truly transformational public transport system will be about that being the easiest option for people to be able to get to work, to get to where they're going, like we see in other cities like Nottingham or London. When there's investment, when there's a strategy, people get out of their cars. It's about warm homes and genuine investment, ensuring that we've got insulation that reduces the costs that people have for heating their homes, working to address things like fuel poverty. I mean, the list goes on about where we can ensure that we are tackling these targets. And at the moment, we've seen the Welsh government, we've seen Welsh Labour fail to take the genuine interest in ensuring that we are meeting these targets. They've been slow. They've not put that investment in all of the years that we have seen a Labour government. We've known about climate change for decades. This isn't just about doing the nice to have because this is happening now. There should have been leadership before now. There should be more speed in ensuring that we're addressing this, because this is a huge risk to the future of Wales. Those coastal communities that are at risk of flooding, those towns and villages that are at risk of flooding as a result of flooding from rivers, and even small businesses and things like that that have been at risk. The climate emergency is on our doorsteps, and drastic action needs to be taken. 2050 is the good target, but this is a real emergency. And when you call for emergency services, you don't expect them to come in years to come. You need them to arrive now, to deliver now, and that's what Wales Green Party will do.
I'll just come in there as well, just to back up everything Amelia's just said. And in terms of, are the Welsh Government ambitious enough? Well, by their own admission, they're failing to meet their targets so far for 2050. And as the Greens, we know, the science knows that 2050 is already too late to mitigate the worst effects of the climate emergency. Science is demanding net zero by 2030, which again emphasises the importance of having Greens in the Senedd to push that level of scrutiny to make sure the action happens at the urgency needed. But the second part of your question, James, about independence and Welsh Green Party, I mean, you heard Iolo state quite unequivocally in his opening statement that we believe in independence for Wales. Yes, the policy that came out was that Wales Green Party would campaign to leave the United Kingdom in the event of a referendum. That in itself is implicit in that we believe an independent Wales is the way forward. And part of this is our vision for a future green Wales. You know, we've just been through, we're going to launch our manifesto in about 10 days' time. And you're writing a manifesto and you're trying to square all these things with our vision for a green, clean, fair Wales, a Wales that believes in equality. And you keep hitting this barrier that you just can't do these things. Universal basic income, you can't do it without Westminster's approval. All these ideas, massive scale renewable energy generation. We reach a point where we have this green vision of what Wales could be. And it's a diverse, cosmopolitan, international, outward-looking Wales that believes in equality. And that is, to our mind, that is only achievable through independence. But this is only the start of a conversation. This is a conversation that needs to happen with the people of Wales, between the politicians, the citizens of Wales, how we reach that point. At some stage, there may be a referendum. We may end up with a majority of pro-independent Senedd members at some stage, which could quite likely happen in Scotland this year. So we started this conversation. We believe that independence is the best way forward for Wales, and we will work with anyone who's trying to find out the best route to achieve that.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. I'm gonna ask Jade Ball for her question next. Jade?
Hi. Yeah, I was wondering, with the new Welsh Government laws, 16, 17-year-olds are now officially allowed to vote for the first time in this election. Why should young people be voting the Green Party?
I'm going to send that to our lead list candidate in South Wales West, Megan Poppy Lloyd.
Hello, sorry, could I just get the question repeated for me, please?
Yeah, no worries. Under new Welsh Government laws, 16, 17-year-olds are now officially allowed to vote in this election for the first time. Why should young people be voting for the Green Party?
In my mind, as a young Welsh Green, the reason I signed up for the Green Party is because the Green Party are the party of the future. You know, the climate crisis is the most pressing issue that humanity and society have ever faced. And it is an issue that will most affect the youngest members of our society. So, sorry, excuse me. So voting Green for young persons is an issue of protection. It's it's an issue of protection. You know, it's protecting society, it's protecting the world, it's voting for energy and policy changes that will protect all of us. It is a vote for our future. It is a vote for solidarity in social justice, which is an issue that younger people seem to be so much more on the ball than I ever was. You know, I studied politics at that age, and I've been into colleges to talk to young political students, and they are so much more switched on than I ever was. They understand the issues that are absolutely precedent to our future. So yeah, that's
Thanks very much, Megan. We're running short on time, so I'm going to jump straight to Sidonie. Sidonie, are you here?
Sorry, I was on mute. So as a voter, I would love to see my vote go towards electing the first Green Party into the Senedd. But there is a reservation that the vote could be wasted. Is there something that you feel is different this year about your chances to win?
I'm going to send that to Amelia.
Every time you vote Green, you're putting a massive vote, whatever happens, to ensuring that we're talking about the climate and ecological emergency, as well as working to address inequality. But working in a proportional election is even more exciting. I mean, we're seeing that we can beat first past the post in councils across England. We've beat first past the post where Emily's elected. But with the proportional system, we have even more chance than ever. And as we're seeing more people wanting to vote for ensuring that these kinds of policies, these policies that are about the future, not just tackling not just making promises for the 5 years ahead that we've not seen delivered over the years. A proportional system means that every single vote counts. A proportional system means that we have more chance to get Greens elected, specifically on that regional ballot, which is the proportional section of the election. Here in South Wales East, we have a chance to ensure that we have across the country have a chance to ensure that Greens are elected into those kind of lower seats. And effectively, if you're voting for other parties that have won in the constituencies, then those people will not win on the list. We see over 1 million wasted Labour votes across Wales because simply Labour are not going to get elected in the list or applied in other areas. Sorry, Labour in South Wales and then applied elsewhere. But we are looking, if we get those list votes, we can get Greens elected. Using those list votes for parties that are winning in your constituencies is the wasted vote. A Green vote is never a wasted vote, especially in this election, where actually the biggest argument that there is that Labour is the wasted vote. They will go here in South Wales East, for example, they will go uncounted because simply they cannot win on the list.
Can I just add to that as well on the regional list? Amelia's absolutely right. We can win on the regional list across Wales. So if you believe in Green, vote Green on the regional list. But the other thing to remember is not just what you're voting for, but what you're voting against. Because as Amelia pointed out, in all 3 regions in South Wales, a Labour vote on the list is wasted because of the way the system works with constituency seats. So people who vote Labour out of misguided loyalty are letting someone else get that 4th seat. And you have a clear choice in this election. Does that 4th seat on the regional list go to Wales Green Party to be the voice of scrutiny in the Senedd, or does it go to far-right parties such as the Abolish the Welsh Assembly or UKIP? That's what it comes down to in this election. So please do not waste your regional list vote. Vote Green in this election.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time here. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll be launching our manifesto in the next couple of weeks, so keep your eye on our socials and on your inbox if you happen to be on our mailing list. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful Monday and I'll see you soon.